Welcome back to my gameplay series of Dawn of Man, where I shall build the first fully planned city of mankind. In this gameplay series, I will be playing at the hardest difficulty and build a great city which we shall name the Ozymandian Kingdom. I fully well realize that given the ravages of time, even the greatest men and the empires they forge are impermanent, their legacies fated to decay into oblivion. This city, while it lasts, shall, however, be so great that gods invented 1,000 years from its passing shall come with bowed heads to ask our ancestors, who built this edifice? Ladies and gentlemen, lovers of war, traders of great renown, I, the Strategic Indian, bid you welcome to my channel, where our motto is think, practice thinking. If you like the content, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment, which will greatly help with the almighty YouTube algorithm. In this episode, I will clearly show how to start building this city and integrate it with existing structures. Our goal is to set up a self-sufficient, vibrant city capable of supporting the upper limit of citizens, with all buildings enclosed by our all-protecting walls. I have therefore used MS Excel to plot out each coordinate beforehand to ensure minimum walk distances. This has allowed me to close pack buildings in a syncretic manner. Pre-planning guarantees that not one single tile of space is unproductively vacant. Today, our beginnings are far humbler. We shall lay the orientation of the city, vital to success. Start the first 2 houses, a granary, production structures, and a totem pole to pay respects to our venerable ancestors. We shall be following a weekly Friday evening release schedule which our shamans have decreed to be the most auspicious to please our ancestors. For our key bindings, I shall be using 1 to 4 to regulate the speed of gameplay. After the initial episodes of opening moves, the game will be mostly played at 4x speed. I have assigned number 5 to the very vital task panel to make sure that we keep our workloads low and also cancel useless and dangerous tasks. To further lower workloads, the limits panel shall be monitored by pressing number 7. Lastly, the stats panel showcasing the prestige and livability is assigned the letter 9. I find these hotkeys the most important and this orientation the most optimal. The other panels are less important and can be assigned as you see fit. As you can see, I have all the available challenges completed, so expect this to be an expert level playthrough with micromanagement and advanced gameplay tips thrown in. Right, let's rename the city as we promised, and let's switch to hardcore mode. This mode allows a single save, no pauses, large armies of raiders who can leave us behind technologically if we do not prepare, and lastly, aggressive wild animals in the environment. Our goal will be to take steps so that we have to venture out of the city the bare minimum, both lowering risks of exposure or attack and reducing walk distances to a minimum. We begin the game, and our very first step is to cut down these 2 trees near to this berry patch. Puns aside, this will be a very important bush. Next, we put the footprints of 1 haystack, rock and wood storage and send our hunters out. we put in an order for a single pick to be made, because in hardcore mode you do not start with picks. There, you can see our hunters are on the way to the hunt, while the axe-bearing cavemen have already started chopping down the trees. The straggling caveman is sent to start building the buildings that we have put up, and children are assigned to work areas. Flint, sticks and mud, in that order. For taking out bisons, around 4 to 5 adults with good hunting equipment should be enough in the early stage. Later we won't be hunting, probably not at all. We won't be gathering at all, because we will make sure that we go to high levels of production, where all of our food is coming from farming, from animal husbandry, which gives us enough skins to make leathers. This is going to be a gigantic industrial operation. This is industrial age meets prehistory. This is Henry Ford going back in time to change the future of mankind. Right. So we go for the other animals, as you can see. The point is, when you are hunting these larger herbivores, or any herbivores, as a matter of fact, is to not leave any of their members of their herd alive, because if this ensures a fresh herd of bison will be spawning, which is precluded if one unit remains. This reminds me how I hunt down fleeing units in Total War Attila. Right, so we move in again for another hunt. These bison don't stand a chance with 4 to 5 people, but we will be relentless. We will keep on pushing. So we'll hit the primal eye. Primal eye, always make sure you keep that as tab, and you continuously go and have a look at that. We can see 2 of the small children of the herd, the younglings, are trying to swim ashore. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Right, we got it. The other one is now going to be in our target. Start firing, and then it switches direction. Now, animals cannot be killed while they are in water. So your cavemen right now, they're just wasting the durability of your tools with the firing that they are doing. And as soon as the animal whose HP has gone down to 0 emerges from the water, he is going to be immediately killed. But you have to manually select so that your people go and hunt, go after the cadaver. Because if they go through this process where they are in water and they die in water, then oftentimes they do not get automatically selected for being butchered. Right. Our tree chopping has ensured enough sticks so that we can make our first food dryer to be built in this particular location. What I do is I use a footprint of a warehouse to orient myself. And if you want, you can also count squares if you're into that. I prefer to use a footprint which I then remove. So that's the dummy footprint. Then comes the food dryer, which is going to be placed 1 square, as you can see, right? 1 square adjacent to the dummy warehouse, which we now remove. Now, the most important building of the entire series, the first house. So this is the most critical one. So we go to the berry patch, the very important berry patch, and then you will find that there is 1 slot where you move it all the way to the side of this hillock, and there is only 1 spot where this house can go. That is how good this design is. You really can't go wrong. So the second house is going to be placed right in line and in front of this. If you land the first house perfectly, then the rest of this entire layout is guaranteed. There will be only 4 to 5 houses that we can't build because the land is undulated. But that is nothing that we can do about. We cannot flatten land in this game. There have been several requests to do so, but Madruga Works has given up development of this game. So yeah, we can't expect that to come through. So always keep an eye out, always switch to primal eye and see what your people are doing. Here we can see that this bison is getting butchered. When you press this little camera icon, it allows you to go in and have a look at what exactly your cavemen are doing. Right. So he is going to butcher. He's going to carry the maximum amount that he can, which is 3 units of food, bone, and skin, and the rest he leaves behind, which can be picked up later by other cavemen. And as the game progresses, we are going to make carts and sleds, which are going to be much more efficient at collection. And as the old jungle proverb says, we are not going to do agriculture in this first year. We are going to just go for grain, wild grains which are growing, so that we can pick up a minimum amount of straw. 4 or 5 units of straw is probably enough at this stage. We have quite a lot of rye and grain and emmer growing nearby, so use the wild grain collecting icon to make sure that you get these ones. And what we'll also do is we will make sure that the amount of wild fruits being collected is set to 0 at this early stage, because it's very crucial that when the next summer comes around on year 2, this is year 1, you don't start collecting a lot of these fruits, because that just adds your workload, and we'll be swimming in food, so we don't need that easily perishable fruit. Right, always scan for threats. Highest threats are cave hyenas, just purge them with fire. Then are cave lions, then wolves, and lastly bears. So constantly scan. As I can see very far away, there's a bunch of wolves over there. I look 360 degrees to make sure that there are no approaching threats. Although I will also get blindsided because they often spawn very close to your caveman, and there is nothing that you can do for it. So make sure you continuously scan for opportunities, which are large herbivores are the highest opportunity. Then you have aurochs and you have and bisons. They are the same interchangeably. I will be using them. And lastly, herdables. Right, now we're going to set up the first house, which is going to be made with wattle and daub. So wattle and daub is a composite building method used for making walls and buildings, in which a woven lattice of wooden strips, which are called wattle, is daubed or covered with a sticky material, usually made with a combination of wet soil, clay, sand, animal dung, and straw. That's why we tasked our children to go and pick up clay, because that's vital, and we'll need 2 straw per hut during construction. Wattle and daub has been used for at least 6,000 years from archaeology, and it is still a very important construction method in many parts of the world. There are several historical buildings which include wattle and daub construction, which has survived to this day. Right. So we can see that houses are going up, houses like this. So these are called huts in game. They can have 4 storage slots. There are 4 people who can shelter and make food. So if you have, for example, pulses, then your caveman can go inside and cook inside it. It's allowed to cook inside these. You can't cook inside tents, but we can't have tents in the ancient warrior scenario. So in huts and roundhouses, you can actually cook. Raw meat as well as dried meat, they also need to be cooked while you eat them. Raw meat actually lowers morale, so you want to make sure that everything goes to dried meat. So make sure that we have enough of dryers, although not an overabundance. At this early stage, make sure that all of your cavemen are coming back with full inventories. Run them back to houses so that they save on time. Again, scan for threats there. As you can see, these wolves really spawned very close to the child, so I immediately move my cavemen forward to protect the inhabitants, because even if the child is running away, these wolves can turn around and attack. So if the attack happens quite far away, then oftentimes there is really nothing that I can do, so I just let them get eaten. Now, bears are actually a great friend. As you can see, bears right now are fighting the wolves, and they are able to take out one fully grown wolf, and another one they can bring down to 80% of HP. So I generally don't hunt bears. I leave them be, and I often go and check from time to time that they don't have their hunger meter completely empty, because then they can actually attack. They actually do a great service, so I prefer to leave bears alive. Now you can see one of our children has gotten injured, and there is this game mechanic. See, he was almost killed, so that's why we had these guys nearby providing cover. Children can't get infection, so that's a game mechanic, nothing which is being manipulated. So if adults get hit by wolves and hyenas especially, then they have an increased risk of infection. Game food variety does not play a role, so the only way you get sick is if your people are outside and then they get attacked and then they get infected from this attack, right? So children can't have that, so you can send out children to continue to do certain jobs. But if your adults are infected, what you want to do, or they came under an attack recently, you want to make sure that they run into these huts. So while they are inside the huts and roundhouses, they cannot get infected. They recover health at a normal speed, whether they are inside or outside huts and roundhouses. So you don't get additional healing while you're inside these housing, but they will continue to increase their health. Now, once you are above a certain threshold, once he comes out of this house, if he gets infected and you're above this certain threshold of HP, then your caveman will survive. Right, so our second house got constructed, as you can see. We are going to always keep an eye on our workload, and we are going to slowly cut down trees, workload permitting. We are going to put our second food dryer, which is in the straight line of the first one that we did. So that's pretty easy. So right now we are forming the left leg of the first man. We are going to lay the foundation of the first tenor, which is placed almost at the end of the first warehouse, and we are also going to put a tenor diagonal to the first skin dryer that we have put in. There we go. This is the arrangement. Always make sure they are in line, so that's why I use this a dummy building of a fire hearth, to make sure that if I move one tile, I am not able to place it while the free space is actually remaining free. That means I am aligned with this warehouse. So early game, while you are practicing this, you want to make sure that you are constantly checking that you are placing the footprints in the right place, because if you don't, then this setup is not going to work. You are going to have to dismantle buildings, which is going to cost a lot of time and energy and resources. You only get 50% back of your resources, and early game we really can't afford that at this difficulty. So quickly go over all of your resources that you have from time to time. We're going to put the work areas for tannin collection, because as soon as the first winter is over, in this first spring itself, you are going to start to go out and start collecting tannin, because we are going to start producing sleds in the first spring itself, the first coming spring. It's a pity that we start in the summer month once the tannin collection is already negated, so you can't collect tannin in summer, only in spring. So we couldn't build any sleds until the first tannin comes in, which is in the next few months. We're going to put down the first tech. We are going to spend money on defense, because we are going to have a lot of attacks coming in, so defense is going to be prioritized. This gives us the ability to make towers and walls and platforms, because in the Neolithic age you can do that. In the earlier ages you can't, but we are not starting at that age. Always go from house to house and in your warehouse to check what the conditions of easily perishable goods are. For example, meat, we can clearly see 3 meat are very close to decaying, but I think your cavemen are going to go and grab a bite of those ones. Even if there is one little HP of food left, it doesn't give them food poisoning. So even if it's if it decays, it completely leaves the system. We are going to now start placing the first granary, because that's very important. We want to ensure that our food security is stretched to the maximum by storing things in granaries, because resources are going to last 3 times longer inside granaries compared to warehouses, which has got 2.5 times increase of resource storage. Make sure that we align things very carefully over here. So I placed a dummy building of a grinder, so that I'm absolutely sure that it is placed in line and also at the right position. Right, we scan, we see a lot of herds nearby, so those are a bit difficult to kill with 1 or 2 hunters, because deer tend to run away, especially wild boar are master champions of running away. So we don't want to go for those ones if we don't have a need to do so. Our second dryer has been built. So keep looking at how many raw units of meat that you have and build accordingly. So there, our first dryer is up, our first tanner is up. You can clearly see how close the granary which is going to be built is to the storage, which allows it to be rapidly built with minimum walk distances. There we go. Additional food is getting loaded up onto the second dryer. So we can't have sleds right now, so our people have to manually carry heavy loads which we don't want. And we are also going to identify the first position of the first totem pole that we're going to throw. We're going to go for totem pole because they give additional higher amount of prestige. They also recoup morale much faster than the skull poles. So skull poles you want to build 5 so that you get an additional knowledge point, but you don't want to spend time with that unit beyond 5 because they don't give that much of the morale back. And once somebody prays at a totem pole, at a skull pole, it takes forever for somebody else to go and pray at it. Apparently there is a recharge time, so you don't want to invest time and resources onto skull poles. And also they require 1 stick, 1 bone and 1 unit of dried skins. So if those units are at disparate places, then it really wastes time going back and forth. Although we are going to make sure that everything is very centrally placed. Basically I don't like skull poles. So I'm gonna ask somebody to manually cut down that tree because I had enough number of logs to build the granary. That's why I placed it down, but probably somebody used 1 log to feed the hearth. So often things go wrong that way, and that's why we will go in for a manual cutting of a tree so that we can finish building this granary, and therefore that task is out of the way and it doesn't clog up our workload. As you can see, I'm keeping that bear alive on the far right of the screen. I'm going to start now taking up stones manually because I don't want to assign a work area to stone because that will just add to workload and I just need a few stones. I'm going to collect 3 stones so that I can build 1 hearth and 1 grinder, because we actually require 4, but the 4th stone is going to come back from when we disassemble the hearth and the grinder and move it closer to the granary, because we want to slowly move all the buildings closer and within the walls. We don't want to give our people any excuse for dilly-dallying and walking around wasting time. Now we'll go out for a hunt because the new because spring is here. We have all of the buildings that we are building going up, so we don't have too much work except tannin collection and building that granary, and we are going to go and hunt diverse animals so that we can use gain knowledge points much quicker. So here we have a great opportunity. There are 3-4 different kinds of animals which will give us 3-4 points of knowledge point, because the first animal you kill for the first time already gives you a new knowledge point. And right now we are going to be really hoarding these points up, because on the first age, the Neolithic age, we are going to spend knowledge points as fast as we gain them. The only other time we are going to do that is in the Iron Age. In the intervening Copper and Bronze Age, we are going to be very strategic on how we are going to spend our points, but that's for a much later time. We don't need to worry about that at all right now. So always go to the primal vision, use speed 1 to 4 on your numpad to move back and forth in speed. You don't want to waste too much time walking slowly. You want to speed it up, get to the point, and as soon as you see an opportunity, you want to slow down and you want to fire. At ancient warriors difficulty, you don't get to pause the game, so you can't stop them. And if you can kill off units with 1 throw, so there you can see that goat got killed, that ibex got killed, and that deer got killed within 1 throw, then the other units are often not alerted except by your presence nearby. So your presence nearby might spook them, but if you throw a spear, but if you throw the spear in such a way that that animal is completely killed by that throw of spear, then the animals which are nearby don't panic and run. If some unit runs away, especially things like deer or boar, you might want to let them go because you just get carried on a wild goat chase and you don't want to do that. There, the deer came back. They try to come back and meet with each other. So if you are standing in the middle, you are going to be able to hunt them down. So we got enough knowledge points. Now we are going to put the second knowledge point set. So that's the second set of 9 knowledge points go into goat domestication. So embrace animal husbandry. This is just the first episode of playthrough. As I promised, we are going to go into the math. We are going to go into advanced stuff for exactly why you want to embrace animal husbandry, which is the best animal, and we are going to just do it scientifically because yeah, this is going to be expert playthrough. When you can see that your cavemen are making sure that the dry food is being placed into granaries, that means that the workload is pretty okay. If you see a lot of dried meat just sitting at the dryers, that means yeah, you have already made the workload quite high. We are going to build the first totem. In case you see some of your toons are a bit hungry, make sure that they go back to eat. The first trader is here. So priority is going to be, of course, food at this stage, because you want to have quite a lot of food which is going to entice new people from coming in, and of course straw. Building up housing is really important in attracting immigrants. That's why we went and rushed those 2 houses right there in the beginning, because then you have space for immigrants. If you see that you have immigrants coming in before the first trader comes in, that means you have done an amazing job. You have actually outdone what I am doing over here. I have had in several runs where immigrants come in before the first trader hits. Right. Most important old jungle proverb is set your limits, set your boundary conditions, else your toons are going to just go do pointless jobs and they are going to go and really rack up the workload. You would be left scratching your head as to what is going on. So this is these are the limits that I personally set. I'm a bit brutal with it, so I do not follow my own maxim, and I really go and set quite high units of production, because yeah, I'm confident that I'll be able to build up rapidly and be able to meet these targets. If you are pressed for time, or if you think this is too much micromanagement, don't try to set the limits for the metals and ores, because they are going to come far in the future. We are going to use our knowledge points very slowly, very strategically, very methodically. This is a juggernaut which is going to slowly roll forward, and it's going to conquer everything in front of its wake. So be cautious, use your time well. If you think there are threats or opportunities nearby, go for that rather than set up all of the limits in one go. One important postscript that I saw after recording is that you make sure that your meat collection is set to infinite. Okay, we are going to make 100 meat very, very quickly. So what happens is that if you have the meat collection set at 100 or lower, say at 10, and you have killed a mammoth, and that gives say 14 raw meat, it's not going to collect those 4 raw meats. They are just going to be left. They are not going to butcher that or go and pick that up. So make sure you have it set to infinite, especially meat. I forgot to do that in this. It's probably jitters from recording and everything. I'm doing it for the first time, of course. So we had immigrants come in because we start with 11 people and we are up to 14. So 3 people came in probably while I was messing with the controls and the limits. Now let's summarize, because we are going to put in the footprint of the 3rd house as we promised, because we actually have all the things required for it. We're going to hunt this boar because it has graciously come in and it's going to get out of stamina. The boars have a lot of stamina, they run like crazy. Alright, let's summarize. While the hunt goes on, we have built 2 of the roundhouses, especially the first one, which is the most important thing. That's going to be the linchpin of the entire construction. We have built 2 food dryers because we did enough hunting. We built 1 skin dryer to generate dry skin to make bows in the coming episode, 1 tanner to start making sleds in the coming episode, a totem pole to respect our ancestors and gain back morale. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you here back for more Dawn of Man. Thank you for watching. This has been the Strategic Indian signing out.